August 29th, 2005. Hurricane Katrina.
When Hurricane Katrina ripped into New Orleans, most people tried to flee. In one neighborhood, however, a band of 15 to 30 people refused to evacuate. With the police department crippled, these people amassed weapons and began patrolling the streets. Before long, bullets began to fly. Over the past 18 months, I've interviewed figures on all sides of the gunfire. The gunmen, people who were shot and survived, and witnesses to the violence. Severed from the rest of New Orleans by the river, Algiers Point is an insular, predominantly white neighborhood within the larger Algiers district, which is mostly African American. As word spread that Algiers Point was dry, desperate people fleeing flooded zip codes began headed toward the West Bank.
I never thought that I would witness what I did during Katrina. You know, not in Algiers Point. Not among some individuals that I classified as neighbors.
We're blocking both ends of the street. This is during Hurricane, Katrina. They're doing looting. They're looting the businesses right now. And we figure they'll eventually get around to looting the houses.
Fearing an influx of outsiders, the gunmen of Algiers Point barricaded their streets. Malik Rahim is one of a handful of blacks living in Algiers Point. In the days after Katrina, he says he was threatened at gunpoint by several white neighbors.
I couldn't walk through Algiers Point.
You couldn't?
Oh no, I could stay on my block. But if I would have turned that corner, I would have been in a firefight.
Malik's friend Reggie Bell was also confronted at gunpoint.
After they caught up with him, they told him to run. And if he would have ran, they was gonna kill him. They were gonna shoot him in the back. And he told him, he said, hey man, he said, I live right here. He told him to run.
At the ferry terminal in Algiers Point, the National Guard established an evacuation zone and began busing flood victims to Houston. On September 1st, 2005, Donnell Harrington left his home and began walking toward the ferry terminal with his cousin, Marcel Alexander, and a friend, Chris Collins. To get to the evacuation zone, the trio had to walk through Algiers Point.
You know, I was talking to my cousin and our friend, and I was telling them that, yeah, we finally about to get out of here. You know, I was talking, because my cousin was on the side of me, on the right side, and I looked down at my arms and everything, and because you know, some of the shots hit me in my arm, my chest, my neck, my stomach, and you know, I just saw blood everywhere.
As I'm trying to pick him up, they shot us again, so I fell. And Donnell trying to get up, and we all were trying, we panicking now.
And he was like hollering, like, you okay, you all right? And he was, you know, like I said, he was pretty hysterical, man. And when I saw the guy, when I actually recognized the guy with the shotgun, you know, and it was like he was reloading or something.
As I'm trying to pick him up, they coming towards us with the gun. Like probably, like at that time, like probably 2 or 3 of them.
And so now I'm trying to get out this guy, trying to get away from him, you know?
2 of them coming my way, and one of them coming at the nail way. Was the last I saw the nail. And I'm running, me and Chris running, and they was like, oh, we gonna get you, niggas.
I ran up into the corner, and they had these 2 guys in the car. They had these 2 white men in the car, an older white guy and another, you know, a younger white guy. And they had these shirts off. I can remember, you know. And they were like in a small pickup truck.
We know y'all, what y'all was doing. We saw y'all.
Marcel goes on to say the vigilantes thought he was a looter.
And, you know, I'm asking these guys, I'm like, help, you know, help me, you know what I mean? And the guys was like, I can remember him telling me, we can't help you, you know? Get out of here, you know what I'm saying? And one of the guys, one of them, I can remember one of them calling me a nigger, you know, get out of here, nigga. We can't help you. We liable to shoot you ourselves. That was the last thing I heard him say.
Eventually, Harrington got help. A black neighbor drove him to the hospital, where doctors pulled 7 lead pellets out of his neck and repaired a large hole in his jugular vein, saving him from death. I tracked down 3 vigilantes. They described numerous shooting incidents, some of them fatal. Perhaps they were boasting or exaggerating, but their statements were detailed, plausible, and backed up by video from the time period.
We didn't need the police.
We have never had
We took care of our own self around here.
floodwaters.
That's what the policeman just said. And y'all did a fantastic job.
How do you protect yourself?
You had to do what you had to do. You know, if you had to shoot somebody, you had to shoot somebody.
No, we had
That's simple.
we had looters.
It was great.
It was great.
It was like pheasant season in South Dakota.
Right on.
If it moved, you shot it.
That's not a pheasant, and we're not in South Dakota. What's wrong with this picture?
For a little
We
while.
walked the streets. We had sidearms. You know, you had no choice. It was that bad. Police said just put them on the side because they knew they were doing wrong, you know. They said just put them to the side. That's all we could
In
do.
Chicago.
I am no longer a Yankee.
No.
I earned my
He
wings.
understands the N-word now.
I learned my wings.
all the looters and stuff.
What looters?
You didn't see all the
We had 3. They left here, one without a T-shirt, and the other's full of buckshot. And we have the T-shirt to prove it.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What happened?
We shot them. What happens in other parts of this state, I don't know about. But over
We don't
here,
care about.
this
But
is
in this
our
neighborhood, we take care of our own.
We sent them back into wherever they came from and said, don't come back. You know what? Algiers Point is not a pussy community.
Donnell told me the men on the video weren't the people who tried to kill him, but he was disturbed nonetheless.
When I see that, that's pretty disturbing because it's like that's the kind of, that's the kind of mindset they was in, like if it was some kind of race war or something, you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly how many people were shot by vigilantes is still unclear, but eyewitnesses say 11 people, all black males, were shot in and around Algiers Point after the storm. More than 3 years later, nobody has been prosecuted for any of these crimes, and aside from victims like Donnell Harrington, nobody seems to care.
you never think that'll happen to you in your wildest imagination. I mean, you hear about people getting shot all the time. You watch the news and you see things like that, but in my own, my own experience, my own, in my life, never thought that'd happen to me, you know what I mean?
That got me looking at white people who a different perspective now. Not everybody, but a majority of them, I don't look at them the same, because if I know they had a chance to do something to me, they'll do it. Because 99% of the chance they're going to get away.